on the screen. It is finally time for our second match of the day to begin. Thank you so much again for your enduring patience. Astralis will be starting on defense on Cafe. Wolves on attack, which means that the Wolves will get bans 2 and 3. This first ban that you see going out, it'll be Astralis, and well, would you look at that? The crutchiest of the crutch operators, Finka. No more.
The irony here is that for the side of Wolves, it's not even Mowgli who plays it, it's P4. So while the Finka target ban itself is effective, you're not actually target banning the carry, so
You would ban the Zofia.
You probably would.
You'd ban the Zofia if you wanted. Was Mowgli playing Zofia?
Unless they've changed it for Cafe, because Clubhouse requires 2 Heartbreachers, so Mowgli got the A so he can play aggressive. I don't know if that's going to be the same case for Wolves on Cafe, so maybe that's the exception.
Could be.
But either way, it's gone. That's your mirror, followed up, pretty basic stuff, and so is Valkyrie. This, of course, is a very crucial operator for Wolves on Clubhouse, and they'll be in the game no more on Cafe.
Unsurprising, as the bans are far less exciting, far less saucy. As we saw back on Clubhouse, we had 2 defenders banned out that were a little bit out of place in comparison to the usual bans, but Valkyrie and Mira are exceptionally standard. Valkyrie on a map like Cafe, because there are so many nooks and crannies that you can hide those cameras. It's a big map, and a camera on that top floor can look at 2 separate floors, for example. So lots of room for opportunity with that operator. It would also necessitate an IQ through at least 1 or 2 rounds. You don't necessarily want to box yourself in, even if Wolves did bring an IQ before. Very first defense for Astralis. It's going to be in reading and in dining. They will likely extend to upstairs. You see they are doing just that. Verticality is the name of the play on this.
Yes. Whenever you're playing reading, whenever you're playing fireplace, whenever you're playing top floor, you want to try to extend as much as possible. If you're playing top floor bumps, you're going to go into like cigar piano or maybe low C4s. If you're playing reading dining as we are right now, you're going to go a floor up into cocktail. The reasoning for this is because you want to hold on to as much of the map as possible so that you can give it up and leverage it for time. So say you start top floor, you start droning it in, you kill a few drones, fall back 1 room, right? Then they gotta drone that room, you kill 1 more drone, you fall back that further room. So eventually, you're killing drones, you're buying time as a defender, and slowly giving up map control instead of allowing the attackers just run in through and get too much value in too short of time span. RBI lineup, nothing quite out of the ordinary. P4 is forced onto the Twitch, because the finger is banned. Shuttle on the mute, Forest and Melusi, Iconic on the Aruni, Smoke, and Jaeger. So nothing quite out of the ordinary at all.
Thank you, Nick, for reading out every single of the operators. And again, the Wolves, they were not particularly sharp on these opening picks against the Chiefs, and history will repeat itself. Bibu the first to die for Wolves, and now Rise at 50 HP as well. Excellent start from Astralis. Mowgli is down. Look at this full court press from Astralis.
Yep, pretty easy making some fire, but Shinga does get a kill trade, but that's not really gonna give you everything you need. Now, catch Janan over here up into the tarp area. That's gonna even back the score 3 for 3. You have verticality on the sledge, but if Janan gets out, which he does, that's gonna mean Astralis are now in the driver's seat still. Wolves, they should know this happening because that sound drop on the right side is quite loud. Shinga has full control, but he doesn't see the shoulder of the smoke at all. He's alive. Critical damage. Setting up the bomb site here, trying to eliminate as much of the bomb site itself as possible so that we can start planting later on in the round.
It's halfway through that round, as you talked about. Diffuser remains a Shinka, which means that if push comes to shove with objective play, P4 and Rise will have to cover. There's a touch of canister left for J90. There's no nitro cells remaining. So you don't have a ton of post-plant pressure or plant denial as well from Astralis. Both of those avenues very much favor Wolves, but the man count P4 with the F2 in hand. Easy down to Iconic, but look at that, J90 picking off Shinka. That's Diffuser down. The last 2 players from Wolves, both low, very low HP. Iconic teams up with 1 other player from Astralis to take out P4, and Rise surmise his demise. Down he goes. Very first round goes to Astralis.
Oh my!
What is happening?
That's the first round Astralis winning. Cheers! If you guys can hear that in the back. by the way. And you said it yourself, Parker. The EGO, or the confidence, if you will, that Astralis plays with, is really hard to fight back against because they swing you, and they swing you with 2 people at once, non-stop.
I mean, the confidence there. Just on the entry alone, they read the Wolves like a book with how they were going to get into the map. Keep in mind that in the very first matchup, the Chiefs were bullying Wolves in terms of those opening picks. All but one came on attack. It was on defense that Chiefs struggled. And on attack, Wolves got the opening pick in every single round. They ran into a brick wall this time, and the script has been flipped. On defense, Astralis roaming aggressively, holding that upstairs, and catching the Wolves as they enter the map, doing tons of damage to Rise and killing off Boo. That's about as good as you can hope for at that point, because the rest of Wolves couldn't even translate that entry towards the bomb site. It was not a top floor bomb site. It was not a top floor execute. They couldn't make it towards reading. So with a bomb site like this though, Nick, here on Kitchen for the second defense for Astralis, we see teams pull off very linear executes without taking control of that second floor. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on the way that the teams, and most importantly, the defenders, decide to play it.
And that's kind of the Maverick plays into from side of B1. We do see Astralis with both the Mute and the Kaid, so it does look Opera lineup-wise that it's going to be very passive, first floor horizontal hold, but we can see the Opera outlines rather at the floors above. So there is a Roman presence from Astralis. It's not going to be as straightforward as just walking on in. And J9O under fire. The artillery, 3 grenades and tossed in his direction.
Goodness.
Eventually he gets found, and so does the shield. That is a crucial position in VIP that the Wolves have dealt with successfully, and it's smoke off the board. They just bought themselves 30 seconds extra because those toxic babes are now gone.
I'll spectate and ride along again. As you said, the smokes being gone, particularly crucial, Nick. That's a good 25 to 40 seconds, depending on how you space them out, of time that you just can wait and buy your team so much. Nitro Cell goes off, drone work coming in, and Iconic moved off of his position. Second body from Astralis hits the floor. It's DP fire. Down he goes, but a fight back. Iconic decides to get quite aggressive at a numbers disadvantage. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but a second opportunity does not work out in his favor. Bibu outduels him. P4 goes down to Shuttle. Both teams taking advantages. We still have well over a minute to go, and it's just Forest for Astralis. Wolves taking map control very quickly. Shinka answers back, and a down for Forest, but that's all she wrote. Exceptionally well played by Wolves. Tons of confidence. And it's 1 round apiece for these 2 teams.
Also an extremely odd round, because normally when we see this, the attackers will pick one side to attack from, either Bakery or backside VIP where the Wolves started. Or, of course, go for the roam clear, take the entirety of top floor, second floor, do vertical play, etc. and execute. But they went backside onto VIP, spent all their flashbangs and or most of their flashbangs and almost all their grenades to get the kill into smoke, then 180-degree turn around and run to Bakery to then attack from their front. So they basically isolated a member of Astralis, they got the quote-unquote freebie, made that a 5 versus 4, and then worked in their favor and took really good advantage of the fact that there was an isolated member. So good read from Wolves. And again, Astralis, normally, they don't play that far apart, but this is Cafe after all. There will be positions on every single bomb site. For example, now we're on Cocktail. People will often be in Piano with a single player behind the shield at 90, and that's where the Jaegers put down his ADSs right now. That's, again, one of those isolated members that you can find on the attacking side if you are successful. So, see if Wolves can do it again. Bomb site rotation, reading, basement, and now top floor into Cocktail. We are not sticking around on the bomb side if it does not work out the first time. Then we'll go back to it later.
I will be very, very keenly watching this entry from Wolves, as that was a major difference maker in both rounds. An unsuccessful first entry as they get clobbered by Astralis, but then they pounce on it. They pick off J9O, snowball the rest of the round, and, well, they didn't need to even come close to pulling off an execute because they killed every player from Astralis who decided to go for some of those hero peaks to narrow the numbers down. Cocktail will play out a little bit differently. As you see the first Flores drone, the Rotero drone, go in, take out the Malusi Banshee, and still more utility being blown up. if you look at the lineup for Astralis, there are tons of targets for these Rotero drones. You can take out ADSs to allow your grenades clear sailing or the smokes that you have in the hands of the Gridlock.
Said it, Gridlock, the key operator here, because normally we don't see this operator being played almost at all. But Rise has chosen to bring it. You get the smoke grenades, you get the, I'm not sure what the gadget is called officially, but basically they can slow down the attack, or the defenders rather, they can cut off a flank or a rotation. And you also get a great weapon in hand to go along with it. Mowgli aggressively into inside of Cigar. He's getting shot from multiple angles here because Bathroom and Cutsel's on a fire. He walks into Piano, which meets his demise. The Claymore of Beeble treats it back. Good window repel from Rise, also gets one, and Beeble finds another. It's a massacre.
What is happening in this round? There are 4 players, all dead, 120 to go, almost identical to what we saw in the previous round, where it is just bloodshed and nothing else. By the way, Trax Stingers are what they're called.
Track Stingers?
Trax, T-R-A-X, Trax Stingers. That's why she said my tracks are going out.
Okay.
J90 will stand sentinel inside of the back bar. He and Forrest will be the only 2 players to hold off this assault from Wolves. The toxic canister goes down as well. Obscures our vision, obscures their vision, and does some damage in the process. Utility for the Wolves, not really there. Just 2 smokes and a couple flashes. That's all they have as the last set of tracks goes out. And that audio cue can also cover up some of the sounds that the attackers need, such as a diffuser going down. J90 has some kind of sixth sense as to the location of these attackers in Piano. He's going to get caught in a cross as he gets flashed down and moved on over. Diffuser going down right now. Hibana in hand. Shinka very close to pulling it off. Can J90 stop it in its tracks through the soft wall? No, the numbers get worse for Astralis, leaving Forrest to clutch. He gets one. How many can he drag down with him? This is a winnable situation, but he cannot outduel the recoil. That's his greater nemesis. Back up he goes, and he's lost the plot. As the players from Wolves will sit and wait. They know exactly where he is, and through the soft wall he goes. Wolves have their first lead of the game as they're up 2-1.
That is also one of the very, one of the very first plans we've seen from Wolves, right? I don't remember if they actually got one down on Clubhouse, but almost every single round on Club came down to basically gunfights. This time around, they got the numbers advantage. Then they slowed it down. They droned out the final 2 members of Astralis, knew exactly where they were. Then they kept waiting, and then at the very last moment, the XU came through. They located the safe plant spot. They got into the position. You see the skylight position at the very end of this kill cam. You can see the post plant from there, meaning even if every single member of Wolves fell on the side itself, the skylight player is in a really easy position to clutch out a 1v1 or that be a 1v2. Wolves also making great work of the attacker repick. They've gone around the Maverick. They had the Flores last round. Bibu now showed the Ying. Now onto Sophia instead. So this is something that we gotta keep our eyes on, because a map like Cafe has so many different approaches, but they're all dependent on different operators. So we see it here, 3 different operators changing. From Gridlock, well, back to Gridlock, from Hibana onto Ace, and from Ying onto Nomad. So the Nomad gives you flashbangs that you lose from going away from the Hibana, but the Ace Selma gadget arguably is favored by some Pro League players, but you don't have the flashbangs. So it's a nice little trade-off between operators to get back the same resources, but in a different manner.
This diversity in the
sorry, real quick, Parker.
Oh,
I'm talking about your favorite team here, Astralis. They're like one of the only teams that play Thorn, by the way.
Yes.
And they actually play quite frequently, and now we see it on the round 4 as well.
Fascinating to watch how this Irish operator gets used. 3 Razor Blooms come with a very good gun that has next to no recoil and hits like a truck. Also a very satisfying sound, if I do say so myself.
Yes.
Those Razor Blooms, while taking quite a while to activate, when paired with a Banshee or barbed wire or something as simple as a Yokai drone or a Guzman mine, if Ella happens to be in play, those Razor Blooms can kill you in a single shot, and they will insta-gib you, as a term that I've used before that I hope you're old enough to understand what that is. Mowgli trades out almost all of his HP for TP Fire, and look at that! Rises in! He's just sprinting upstairs. The bomb site might not be on the top floor, but Wolves are. Nitro Cell from Shuttle connects as the F2 just tears right through Shuttle. Forrest answers back onto P4. Still some control for Astralis close to the bomb site. That's every single bomb site that's now been played by Astralis, as it's this engine/mining dining bomb site that we see being held. Wolves emerge at the halfway point of the round in a 3v2, an advantageous spot to be. That brief bit of action follows what we saw in both rounds 2 and 3.
It's almost like Astralis trying to be this very normal version of Siege, playing very much together and strategical, and then Wolves just running through, breaking apart the patterns and finding kill after kill after kill, leaving J9 in a 1 versus 3 with a minute and 10 to go, just like the previous rounds. And now look, Wolves, they're gonna slow down. They're gonna drone, figure it out. You see a player upstairs, see the silhouette, they're droning and waiting around, not exposing themselves, not taking gunfights, they are playing it slow. So they have to defuse it down the ground, they get caught off guard. That's the one angle there was no eyes upon. There's still 2 members left.
They just know he's trapped at this point, though. There's only a single way out that doesn't immediately earn some suspicion, and that's the rotate inside of Laundry. Happens to be the path that J9 takes with the diffuser down and picked back up by Bibu.
It's a safe plant.
Is it a potential plant going down now as J9 makes some noise? Only 1 HP. Rise just needs to waste time as Bibu gets the diffuser down. Another bit of objective play for the Wolves. So good. On as low HP as J9 is, this is going to be an almost impossible task. And there's still smokes to add insult to injury. Rise throws one out, expecting to be by the window as J9 plods his advance back in, and there's just so many bullets in that LMG. 3 rounds in a row for Wolves. They're making quick work of this match after the hot start from Astralis in round 1.
I think this is a perfect sample of just simply a matchup where neither team knows how the other one plays by feeling, right? Astralis, they've played every team in the NAL so many times before. Now you're playing against Wolves, which you maybe studied their 2 previous cafe games that they lost on the UL, but you have no idea how it feels to be against them in the server, and it looks like Astralis can't read them that well because they're getting ran over by Wolves on cafe, which usually is a very defender-sided map. And we see now, gonna take a tactical timeout from Astralis to talk about what exactly is going wrong.
There have only been a couple matches in the entire NAL where Astralis has trailed, so to be down 3-1 so early on, especially on a map that I have no doubt a key part of why you come here is the 0-2 record of Wolves in the EUL. Well, you might be a little bit shaken to your core. Yeah, Astralis is a new team in terms of international experience. The only player on that bench that has played at an international competition is Shuttle. The other 4 players all making their debut. And I don't know if it's nerves, I don't know if it's a lack of preparedness or what, but they go to a map that on paper looks quite weak for Wolves. And you're down. And you're down when you're on defense. Cafe fluctuates between being friendly towards attackers and friendly towards the defenders, but at the rate that this match is going, Wolves are looking even more fierce than they did against the Chiefs, which is an astonishing thing to say given the result that we saw.
No, it is, and Cafe isn't like a clear-cut, oh, it's crazy good for defender situation. It very much is a back and forth. In some regions, it's defender favored, in some regions, it's attacker favored, but it's never favored by that much. We're talking, 45-55 usually at the most, so it really comes down to execution and what your approach is to a given match. And I wouldn't say Astralis' approach has been bad by any means. They've been setting up problems that the Wolves have to solve. But Wolves, well, they don't even solve the problem. They just bulldozer it over with aggression and with confidence. And most importantly, they're playing very well together. Whereas in their game against Cheese that we just saw in Clubhouse, I was afraid that Wolves would be too reliant on the individual play of people like Mowgli just popping off. We actually see Bibu and Rise being the top gunners, leading the charge on the entries as well. Complete opposite situation of the previous game we just saw. That's really surprising to me because it just means that Wolves have more layers than we initially thought. The slow round almost took the first minute to open the hatches, and to add insult to injury, Bibu used his soft utility on Sophia to open them up as well because, well, there is no Sledge and Shinka is playing Claymore, so you have to sacrifice very valuable utility to just get the hatches opened up. It's a rough start, but, well, Mowgli entry onto J9, onto Piano, smoke off the board once again. Huge kill for them.
It's 2 rounds in a row where J9's presence will not be felt, and those are particularly bad blows to Astralis. No smoke to deny a plant, no smoke to provide cover, no smoke to do damage, and potentially force your opponents into a different part of the map. Slow is correct, though, by the way. Half the server should be dead by now if we go by previous rounds.
the change of pace here. I think one of the skills that is kind of underrated is that if you can play fast one route, slow the next, always keep your enemy guessing as to what your kind of pacing is. It's so hard to adapt to because it doesn't make any sense. So Wolves, they bulldoze you down the first 3 rounds. Following 2 is much slower. A little bit of damage there. Looked like it went through, but look at the health bars. Nothing, in fact, happened. But we're just waiting. Wolves again droning, taking control, getting down the air jabs, and all of a sudden, in 20-30 seconds or so, I bet you they're going to run in with aggression and with confidence, and Astralis not going to be ready for it.
But I want to see how Astralis responds to that, because Wolves have taken advantage of being quick to the punch. Astralis now playing the waiting game seems like it might benefit them as they lose out on DP Fire, but then immediately double up with Shuttle and Iconic getting active on the kill feed. Now it's Iconic to lose some more HP as Shuttle gets dropped, and that's it! Bibu picks up 2 huge kills, and the timeout from Astralis doesn't seem to matter. Wolves look formidable.
I think you said it best, Parker. What is Astralis going to do when the Wolves are giving them all this time? It seems like Astralis are waiting for what's to come, but they also aren't ready for it when it then finally arrives. Sure, they got 2 kills and they lost 2 players, but they're still in the disadvantage from that beginning opening kill, and then Wolves just runs away the round again because people finds 3 back-to-back-to-back. So Astralis, where is the adaptation? Where is the confidence we saw in round 1, where they were taking the fights to Wolves? The moment they got shut down in round 2 and round 3, it's like game over almost, it looks like. Astralis are always the better team when they're the proactive ones, looking for engagements, looking for openings, and kind of fighting their way into the round. Whereas right now, they're just waiting for something to happen, and then they lose. Roam game on basement. I like this situation. The cancel here complements the strat very well. You can deny lines of sight. You can kind of build the fortress. You can kind of shape the map the way you would like to. And you can play with the mute jammers from forest around that as well. Deny certain walls. Then we see J9O on the L, at DP Fire on the Thorn. You're getting all this information via gadgetry because barbed wire is not always as reliant on staircases. Or away from staircases, rather. So the Griswold mines and those Razor Blooms put in specific locations that you care about a lot, like, for example, the Skylight. That means if anybody drops down, you will know that they did. Because Wolves, they tend to sneak around a lot and just get those cheeky injuries.
Well, still setup being done by this Astralis team with 40 seconds, or 30 seconds rather, off of the clock again. Wolves in the previous round having taken that definitive advantage. Now we'll use the Twitch drone to great effect. P4 has been absolutely loving this. Not just the utility that Twitch brings, but also having the FAMAS on land. It just cuts right through you like a hot knife through butter. Even if P4 has not been the top kill, or rather the top fragger on the team. Believe it or not, it's Bibu and Rise leading the way. Rise heard us talking about his .81 rating, and he doesn't seem to care. What's happening, by the way? Wolves are in the middle of the bomb site. I would just like to let you know that Wolves are in the middle of the bomb site. Everybody is still alive, but they finally see it. And that's when the killing begins. Astralis coming out well ahead. A big gamble for the Wolves with 1:30 to go. It's going to be quite the recovery. Can they do so gracefully? Mowgli and P4 to find these players. DP Fire putting that Uzi to good work. Leaves P4 in a 1v4. It's the final round of Astralis' defensive stead. At most, they're going to walk away with 2 rounds. Wolves won it definitively in the previous round with their 4 rounds in a row. But P4's got a tall task ahead of him. Seems unlikely. Diffuser nowhere nearby, so you just kind of have to kill time at this point. 1 minute and 20 seconds to go, and he discovers a bomb site that has nobody from Astralis in it. As he rotates towards Freezer, knowing that there's a smoke nearby, Iconic swings back out again and makes relatively easy work of the final player from Wolves. Well, it was an incredible middle part of this first half. The timeout didn't work immediately, but the go for broke strategy from Wolves falls apart. Astralis recovers, and that's the first half in the books. Wolves emerging with a 4-2 victory, the same scoreline as they had over the Chiefs.
And it's surprising, to be honest, starting a tag on Cafe against Astralis with a 0-2 or a 2-loss record on it in the EUL. The thing is, that final round, round 6 that we just saw, looked phenomenal from Wolves. They saw the heavy roam game, they saw the lack of vertical holes, nothing stopping them from rushing in, no traps, the Twitch drone cleared out the bulletproof and the default camera, etc. They had no idea it was gonna happen. But one tiny gap that was in their attack was simply that nobody was scoring that red wall, nobody used their smoke grenades to deny the line of sight effectively, so there was a very big opening for the defenders to get a line of sight onto the planter, and that changed the entire round. So very small things, but with a huge penalty.
I mean, the plant was almost down too,
it was
right?
So
it was
close.
On a hair.
It was so
How
close.
much does that round change if the diffuser goes down? Yeah, you still get the kill. Down goes Shinka.
Oh, it's a great post plant if you get that. You can open up the wall into Bakery, the single wall, and see it all the way from outside. It's almost a guaranteed win at that point. Post plants on Cafe are nasty in a lot of situations.
Cocktail defense, very first opportunity for Wolves on this map, and they'll go all the way to the top floor. Tale of the first half, in case you're wondering. Obviously, Wolves emerge in a 4-2 scoreline. Astralis picked up 2 of the opening picks. Wolves picked up 4. The teams that actually got the very first pick went on to win the round 100% of the time. So that's always a neat figure to refer back to. In terms of bomb site rotation, all 4 bomb sites, just as we saw when Wolves played on Clubhouse, every single bomb site on Cafe played.
Oh, I love this.
I'm going to stop myself for a second because there's 2 Candelas tossed out by Shuttle, and I don't know if Astralis had other plans, but Mowgli gets the very first pick. It's answered back by J90, but that's 2 Candelas used. You picked off the former raid boss of Wolves, but is by no means the main target with the way that this team has been played, and you lost your single Heart Breacher from Astralis in the process. Is that worthwhile?
We'll find out. Normally when the Yin Candelas go, so does the team, but that was more like a bait of the execute, I suppose. Only one person acted. You still have 2 more Candelas. Ying did get that slight change where her Candelas, they flash for less of duration, but she gets 1 extra in her pocket. So 4 Candelas to go, 1 more smoke in the pocket, 2 left in her pocket as well. And that means that there's a second round of execution here for the side of Astralis for when they're ready.
Well, it looked like one of those Candelas was going to go down onto the new hatch, as we talked about before. You said it's a perfect execute strategy, but you can maybe bait out the players from Wolves into the waiting arms, and that's why I said maybe that's the play.
Yeah.
We didn't exactly see what the coverage for Astralis was. There's some maneuvering by Wolves as they head out of that top floor and instead go for a rotate on that first floor and could emerge through brown stairs, white stairs, wherever they choose to go. Grenade gets tossed out, doesn't have anybody found on the other side of it. It blows up over by Pixel. P4 being hunted relentlessly down below. He's got the attention of Astralis. It's Astralis on attack, so they are the ones who need to get that diffuser down. You cannot get bogged down hunting roamers or fighting shadows. You got to get in, and you got to hurry, as you've only got about 30 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser's in the hands of Shuttle. He's got 1 smoke and 2 Candelas left, tons of utility. Great patience by Wolves as they're not taking any of these engagements. Why bother? Let them come to you. 1 Candela goes, there goes a smoke. Both Candelas now out, and it's a dead drop from Shuttle, answered immediately by Bibu, who picks up kills, 8, and it looks like a 9th as well. 10 for Bibu, as he's got a triple kill, and it's a duel versus J90, and he wins it. Bibu coming in so clutch for Wolves. They take their very first defense. The lead grows again, and they're 2 rounds away from vanquishing Astralis.
We can talk about Mowgli and P4 all we want, but in that particular 1 versus 2, I think Bibu is the perfect choice of a player to be in that clutch position. The experience and being able to guide and lead your team from the trenches as well, having the experience to know when to make the right decision there, Bibu played the 1v2 beautifully. Used the cover to get the 1 versus 1, didn't sit around and wait. He used the live information with the red and yellow ping to aggressively seek the final 1v1 with 11 seconds left on the clock. Well done for them. And Astralis, it was so well read from Wolves. The second execution that they came with, the final Candela and the final smoke grenade, it was so easy to read everything that they were gonna do, and that's why Wolves, they came out on top. It was so predictable. When you go for these kind of crazy executes, it has to be chaotic. It has to feel like you're under pressure from so many different angles and positions, That wasn't the case. There were 2 players on window repels from Astralis and 2 people on the skylight. There was no pressure being applied anywhere. The rebel animation makes sound, the skylight drop makes sound, and when only 1 smoke grenade and 1 candela for 1 area of the map, that's not going to blind anybody or smoke off enough lines of sight to actually get you to the bomb site. That's why they got punished.
Well, this is a far cry from the Astralis that we saw back in round number 1. All the moxie and swagger from NAL evaporated at the 6-minute mark, the end of round number 2. Since then, Wolves have been out for blood, and they have not been hunting alone. They've been working well as a team.
They have.
The depth on this team as well has been shown over the last 2 matchups. They have their static top performers. Mowgli and P4, the 2 that you expect to be doing the best, but they are actually the bottom performers right now. It's Rise and Bibu carrying the load for their team. That's what you need at this level of competition.
It is. If anyone can step up at any given time, that is arguably the perfect situation, while also playing well together as a team. Coordination, communication, and playing off one another. Now, Astralis, they have all of those exact same traits as a team. Individual greatness, yes. Good team play, yes. Good strategy, yes. Good communication, most likely. We can't hear them, but I assume so. But the Wolves look better in this particular matchup so far. However, I would say this round in particular has to be Astralis's. They fully roam cleared a basement roam at 1:45.
Where?
This is the first floor roam. I'm very sorry, it's not the basement. They are way ahead of the curve. Normally, you would say at least half the round would be spent for the attackers to clear out the map. They did it in less than half. They already got the 0 cameras done, the Argus cams. They got almost all the vertical blade damage being done. They still got flashbangs, they still got nades. They actually have everything going for them.
Shuttle just baited out a Nitro Cell too,
Yeah.
so even more for Astralis. That seems to be working in their favor as the Buck sets up Office upstairs. Scarily low on Skeleton Key ammo. Astralis are in, Mowgli first to fall, trying to keep it close and deny match point. Look at that, all these bullets from J90, never needs to reload. Astralis picks up those 2 kills and the diffuser goes down for them as well. Good objective play. They're clobbering Wolves. Nobody being able to hold a candle to the Astralis' entry, and then in the post plant so far, no real contest either. Wolves with just 2 players, Astralis, all 5, and that 5 will continue to ride along a flawless shaping up. It leaves just Shinka in a 1v5. That's it. 20 seconds left, diffuser dropping and continuing to go down. Iconic falls, the only player from Astralis, but is this a lone sacrifice to give intel? Because you have 2 seconds to get to the diffuser, Shinka, you find a second kill. There you go. Round is over. Astralis wins it based on time, denying the Wolves match point. Well, there's still a timeout for Wolves. They've still got so much room on this runway, but Astralis get some confidence back from that one.
Who would have thought that when Wolves do nothing and let themselves just kind of get run over, that they would lose, right? Because that's all they did. Like, when they play reading, when they play top floor, etc., they can move around the map. But on a basement defense, for the most part, it comes down to that bomb site itself. That's arguably where Wolves are weak, and you saw it. It's a 5v5 executed around the 1-minute mark, and Wolves had no way to deny the entry point or the plant from Astralis. No C4, all they had was Toxic Babes, but with no information, they couldn't make the right decision as to when to smoke or where to smoke. So, Wolves, you need to get proactive, right? Challenge them on the roam, that's where you're strongest.
May I jump in for a second?
You may jump in for a second.
I am going to quote a great man named Jesse J. Chick, who is not presently here, but will be joining us for the playoffs on Friday.
Okay.
I assume he lands on Thursday.
Okay.
From Edmonton. His team make it to the 2nd round of the NHL playoffs. I digress. He posted that in the pregame of Astralis and Wolves that he feels that the Wolves are off to a tough game and it's about to get tougher. Astralis only lost 1 match through all of Stage 1. Their individual gun skill is insane on all 5 players and they're not afraid to work together to make plays happen. They're going to have to fend off the spawn peek from P4 or find themselves down 1 body. P4 is not looking in the right place. Forrest is wise to it. I'll continue reading. Wolves will need to speed up their attacks if they want to win. At times, Astralis can find themselves a little too far from sight on their roams. Depending on the map, this needs to be something that Wolves can identify and abuse with fast pushes, or they're not going to do well. And guess what? They did on attack.
Very accurate, I would say.
Wolves were incredibly brisk on their attacks, and Jesse posted that over an hour ago. So he did not see this and then make a post thinking that he was some genius in hindsight.
It's impressive. I mean, every single thing about that tweet was actually very accurate, and it's pretty much what played out as well. Now we're going to see the Wolves on the defense. Will they fall to the same issues as that of Astralis from the roaming around injuries from the attackers? DB5 on the Nook, tries to get cheeky, tries to get the opening kill, but gets shut down. Not in the death, so to speak, but he gets found out. Now we know Nook is on the board. That means that you will always have your guns up on a staircase or a flank if you're the Wolves, because you know there's a chance that a sneaking Nook can be there. Twitch, actually, by the way, one of the best maps to play here is going to be on Cafe. You get an incredible amount of value because of the verticality. You can jump up the pillar area, make your way around the map, and just deny all that utility and all those dead zones that you find. Same kind of story for Flores, of course. Good value.
Gave a lot of credit to Astralis on how fast they were on the previous round.
Yeah.
Well, look at the time.
Slowing down.
Much slower.
It's good value though. All you need here, if you're Astralis, is you need cocktail control if possible. Once you get cocktail control, you pretty much get the bomb site control. And with a minute left, it's still doable, but it might not be their choice. They might want to go for a horizontal take instead, and that's where P4, hiding in this corner of pillar, can be very, very lethal. They have time and drones to figure it out, and drone comes out the corner now. He gets spotted, and now he is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this is a bad spot to be in. No real rotates available. You're going to have to go down swinging unless you somehow think that Brown Stairs is the place for you. Oh. And no way they let him get out of there for free. Mowgli above. Likely coming for some covering fire. Astralis gets the very first pick. It happens very late, but now Astralis is finding the mark. P4 finished off. They won't let him escape that easily. Nitro Cell tossed out by Wolves. It connects on the shuttle. Numbers getting narrower. Still in favor of Astralis. Wolves can taste match point, but they are losing all of their forces. Another one goes down as Bibu cannot outduel Iconic, who picks up 2 huge kills to end the round. And Astralis are within striking distance.
It's almost like the game just got flipped on its head. Now we're seeing Wolves on the defense, waiting almost for something. Like, sure, they were trying to be proactive. Mowgli flanked up above on the top red stairs, but other than that single person above on Mowgli, no one really followed up on the play. There wasn't a clear, decisive moment of what they were going to do. It was P4 hiding pillar, Mowgli hiding top floor. They both got found out, and then we see Iconic just absolutely swinging on people near the bomb site itself. Wolves, they play the best in their proactive. Astralis, very same story for them. So the attackers arguably are in a favored position because of that, because they control the flow of the game for the most part. And that's going to bring us to the second tactical timeout in this matchup. It is now Wolves' time to talk about what they think is going wrong.
It allows both teams to talk, as we mentioned and will continue to mention, that just because Wolves take the timeout does not mean that if you're Astralis, you can't take advantage of it too. So callouts Mike will be down as well. This is looking like an attacker-sided cafe, and I don't know if the operator bans necessarily play into that one, as Valkyrie and Mira are relatively standard bans for this map. Maybe throw in a Wamai. You've got basically the 3 operators that tend to get banned unless you are going for a target ban on your opponent and the way that they play. Astralis on those 2 rounds. Very different ways of handling those rounds, but still success either way. Back in round number 8, it was a very quick entry. You complimented them for how quickly they took control of that middle floor and then immediately pressured Kitchen. But for that reading defense, it was much slower, almost lethargic at times. But what's the difference between being thorough and being lethargic? Because you can be both of those things. In the end, Astralis had lined up all of their dominoes, and then with just a flick of the finger, they had all of them falling at exactly the right time, even if it took maybe a little bit more of the clock than they wanted.
You know, the old school vitality that played extremely slow back in the day.
Drink.
We used to say that they are silly for, you know, doing like the last 10-second executes. And I believe there was an interview with some of the players back then. They said they don't think they're silly for it. They just think they're efficient in the sense that they're taking every single second possible in the round and then they execute. Because we see this sometimes with teams, they'll have a minute left, they'll go for an execute, and there's a gap somewhere, they lose the round. So take as much time as you need.
And Bibu is a member of that old Vitality squad. And when I spoke with Meepy back when he was on Team Secret, he said, it's so strange. You'll get droned once, nothing happens. You'll get droned twice, nothing happens. You'll get droned a third time, nothing happens. 20 seconds later, you get droned a fourth time, there's 20 seconds left on the clock, and then all of a sudden you're dead.
Yeah.
And there's really no way to describe it.
No team has ever played anything remote to that playstyle. And we see now teams learning to take their time, but well, Rise, he finds the kill. That is iconic off the board. He's a big member of Astralis.
That's 10 kills and an F2 in the hands of Iconic, no more. But I would argue more importantly, no Twitch drone to take out an Electroclaw. And that is just poor management from Forest on those X-Kairos, getting taken out by the electricity on the other side of the wall. Rise will sit on top of that Electroclaw, still inside of Cigar. Upside down repel can be particularly daunting, but Rise had no problem with it the first time. He's got backup in P4, watching the windows. Second time, not a charm. DP Fire dispatching Rise. Wolves might have gotten the upper hand early on, but there's still plenty of time left for these two teams to tussle and a 4v4.
That there is. Again, time is of the essence, and Astralis, much like the last time they attacked, taking it slower this time around. Remember, no Ying on the board. Can't just drop down like last time and go crazy days. You gotta find an opening somewhere on the map. It's not gonna be easy because, yes, there's a Flores on the board from Shuttle, but the mute jammers as well from Shinka is gonna make sure that most areas will be inaccessible for his drones to go. He still has 2 left in his pocket.
NA teams love this red drop. They love to go through Cafe. Astralis is not any exception to that. And, well, Wolves made them work for it. It's a dangerous spot for Forest to be in. If there's a Nitro cell, that's a very common spot for a pre-place. Shinka's got it in his pocket, so explosive demise, still very possible. Wolves hugging this tight angle in back bar as there's 30 seconds left to go in the round. As you pointed out, no Ying to obscure a drop. So instead, P4 is just going to take matters into his own hands, but he's given his position away while he gets the diffuser down. That's another call! P4 cannot be shaken off of this spot. Astralis push in as best as they can, but it's P4 with a huge 4K, putting the 4 in P4. Wolves on match point.
What a way to finish off the round as well. That's one person in one corner with a bit of information, a bit of help. Managed to find 4 quick kills back to back to back to back and diffuser. That is again we say, each individual player in this entire lobby at any moment can pop off and carry a single round. That's what we saw right there. P4 doing just that, Bibu did before him. Match point now for Wolves. Astralis can feel the pressure now more than ever because this means they gotta go the distance just to have the chance of a comeback. It's not gonna be easy. The one thing they got going for them, however, is that they are back. You guys can see, but you guys go through the replay. There it is. Going back to Kitchen. This is the one area where Astralis found the most success in this entire matchup so far, and the Wolves, they really struggled. Barely roamed, sitting tight on the bomb side. No way to have any information, no way to deny the planter, and the operator lineup doesn't really speak to a roam either this time. The one big change is that they have a Maestro, but a Maestro is not a roamer, and those evil eyes will get taken out swiftly by this operator lineup from the side of Astralis. The one interesting thing here is there's a Lion being attacked at replay. In fact, the entire lineup, all 5 operators, has been changed to a Buck, Lion, Sledge, Sophia, 0, which really doesn't say what they're gonna do, but there's options for either outcome here, a rush or a clean take.
This is the second lineup that we've seen on Cafe that has not had a hard breacher be present, so again, we talked about attacker
well,
repick.
technically speaking, Zero does have the secondary hard breach card.
Shut up.
My bad. You're correct, Parker.
Nothing else to say really there.
That's
just actually,
you're wrong.
no dedicated hard breacher.
Yes.
Ying can also bring it. Lion could also bring a dedicated hard breacher, the can opener as you call it, if they so choose, but you don't necessarily need 4 of those secondary hard breach gadgets, so the Lion will bring the flashes instead. And they'll be able to eat through any of those ADSs before they recover 10 seconds after being popped. You're going to want those 6 flashbangs in the hands of both the Buck and the Lion to clear the way for the grenades tossed out by the Sledge.
There's no roamers. I just saw all 5 outlines. I believe all 5 members of Wolves are literally in the first floor of the map, or on the first floor of the map. That means, once again, look at the timer, 1:45. In just in any second now, we can jump on in, take control. And why is this so lethal? Well, the time favors the attackers heavily, and you got Buck, and you got Sledge, and you got Sophia breaching charges. This floor is literally going to be gone in 20 seconds time. That gives you over a minute for Astralis to execute with, and then go to the backside or front side. I would assume it's going to be a similar fashion dining hatch drop. The Lion is so good for that. You pop the charge, drop the hatch, defenders cannot move, you got flashbangs, and you got grenades, and you don't have to do anything about bakery or VIP.
Astralis did favor the freezer last time around, Nick, so you might be on to something here. Will they
it's just straightforward.
It is. I don't want to use the term linear, but it is very common, and it is quite easy to pull off. There goes a grenade from Iconic, taking out P4. Again, the team that gets the first pick goes on to win the round 100% of the time in this match so far. Is that going to continue again? If you're a fan of Astralis or North America, you hope that's the case. As if Wolves win this, that's it. That's the ball game, the proverbial ball game. Of course, the drop comes in. J90, the first one to go down. And it's Bibu to die. Iconic picks up kill number 2. J90 for some covering fire. A 3rd kill from Iconic, but Mowgli flies under the radar. J90 and Show the last 2 kills. Astralis stay alive with a flawless round. And it's round 12 to settle this between these 2 teams, or overtime.
The Wolves try the same thing again. A very passive basic defense. It does not work. There's just no way that that's ever going to work, because the vertical play doesn't favor the defenders. The evil eyes are not going to matter. You can't deny the plant. No C4s. Toxic babes are in such a hard position to be used, and there's multiple plant options for the attackers if they choose so. I really feel like you gotta get aggressive and make that roam work harder for you, or at least more in your favor, either wasting more time or getting at least a pick or 2. We don't have to worry about it though, because we don't have to ever go back there if we do not want to, and that's why Wolves are taking us to mining, dining instead. I'm gonna change things up. Basement doesn't work. Tried it twice, failed it twice. Castle instead will help us shape the map. Mowgli on Nagoyo is gonna help us deny lines of sight, or rather areas of the knife, to try to plan and get into a quick bomb site. The post is going to tell us that some verticalis will be used, either go into the first floor and you know, scan up, or be on that second floor scanning top floor. That way you have a C4, you also have a second one on Mowgli. That means if you pair these 2 people together, you have 2 C4s and information. You can play all 3 floors and really access the entire map control.
Mowgli's been having a very bad game
so
far. He's been losing his ones. I think that's the bigger issue here. The depth from Astralis, as we discussed before we got into this match, all 5 players with a 1.05 rating or better in the NA League. Not a single underperformer. And I mean, if you look at the stats here, the only player who's not doing great is Shuttle. That's about it. Everybody else is doing okay, good, or even. And that's really all you can ask for.
Shuttle also play. Oh, that's 2 Goyo canisters and 1 grenade. That's some value.
That's huge value.
Huge value.
2 X-Kairos and a single grenade just took out a castle barricade, and the 2 post-plant / plant denial Goyo canisters.
Yep. Once again, it's going to favor Astralis, because if you play it slow, you want those Goyo canisters to be gone as soon as possible, so when you get to the bomb side, those won't be a problem. And that's something that we see teams get better and better at. Instead of just going for the first step of like going top floor like we see now, they will take the final step first, so that when they get there, it's not going to be a problem with 20 seconds left remaining, and that's going to benefit them so much more in the long run.
Almost like we're back in the 20-second meta
Almost
here.
If.
Iconic being droned in. There's one playing at a rat angle around the corner. Does he know? He's wary of one being pushed onto white stairs. That's Bibu called to the rescue. That F2 is a great gun, but it can't do it all, and you want Iconic to stay alive for when the push inevitably happens. Just a little over a minute to go now. Match still on the line for Astralis as Wolves are on match point. If Astralis do not prevail here, that's 2 huge victories in regulation for Wolves. And while it doesn't secure their passage to the playoffs, it will give them a massive leg up over their opponents.
It's a great start. We saw the duo of Mowgli and P4 with that combination of 2 C4s on the first floor. They can do a lot of damage here because the time is ticking down. So if Astralis take too long to execute, that's when the C4s go out.
Once again, the team that gets the first pick goes on to win the round 100% of the time in this matchup, and that will benefit none other than Wolves. But the diffuser's being planted, and there's no denial. J90 will get it down. Mowgli taking damage, and we're in a post plant with 9 players alive. J90's been dropped. He cannot get out of dodge in time, but do they secure? That's the real question. DP Fire guns down Bibu. It's to a 4v4, and J90 will need to be recovered. Shuttle is upstairs on the top floor. He can sit over top of the diffuser. That's a huge place for him to be. Down goes Rise. Mowgli follows, and it's DP Fire gone. On the diffuser, none other than Wolves. You have to shut them down, Shuttle. There you are, coming in clutch. The streak breaks in round 12, and we will need overtime.
We knew this game was going to be a banger of a match, and we see it right here. Overtime activated. We're gonna go the distance. Astralis has another chance to show that they are the better team.
I mean, this still works well for Wolves. They're still going to pick up some points, assuming that the group stage works the same way that it did for SI, where if you make it to the, what?
Regulation? Overtime?
No, I was... Forest.
What?
He was spanking the air.
He was spanking the air.
He was spanking the air. It made my brain stop working for a second there. A thrilling end, and Wolves let that lead slip through their fingers. They were in firm control. Round number 7, Wolves are up 5-2. All they need is 2 rounds. Of the remaining 5 rounds, they just need to win 2 of them. That's it. They can't do it. They can't get it done. It's 4-2 in favor of the attackers on both sides. If we see overtime follow the same pattern that we saw regulation, that it benefits Astralis, as Astralis gets to go on to attack twice.
Not just that, but also Astralis is on their successful side, and they get to stay there. Instead of going defense and change up your entire playstyle, then go back to attack, you get to stay on the side you're successful on, whereas Wolves, they haven't been doing great in the defenses, and now they gotta stay there again before they get their own shot at to attack against them. So, yeah. You do get to attack inside your Astralis if you win this first one. You're guaranteed a second.
Confirmation as well from our production staff in our ears that you do gain a point for making it to overtime. So while Wolves don't get the desired result, which is a win in regulation, worst case scenario, they still get a consolation prize of sorts by having such a close match. And not to spoil it, but every single match except for one so far today has actually gone to overtime. So we'll see what happens later on down the line, but of course these two teams are so close. Mowgli, who's been having a pretty terrible game by his own standards, especially after that 19-kill performance against the Chiefs, well, he's under fire by Pixel. Grenade tosses out, he loses his mobile cover in the deployable shield. Can't really retreat towards Bathroom and has to be wary of a push from White Stairs. But on this cocktail defense for Wolves, he can just sit and wait. There will need to be more utility to dispose of him in that spot.
I'm surprised he has the confidence to stick around with no magnets. Now he finally got one recharged, so he is now safe from a single grenade. That's the case. Mowgli's sticking to his guns, saying, you know what, if you want this corner, you gotta fight me forward. Shuttle getting droned in down below could mean some vertical damage from the buck. It's a very flexible operator to bring. So many options, so many decisions you can make, so much damage that can be done. And Iconic holding down the basement of all things right now, expecting someone on the White Stairs. And he'll be correct to guess that because P4 is lingering.
He sees the skeleton key tear through the wall, and the sound of the storm as he walks back up White Stairs will give his position away. Astralis will be on the hunt. That's a nice nade that'll go on down, and it connects onto Rise. Astralis start off the killing. That is exceptional for their fans. Again, you have an almost 100% chance of winning if you get the very first pick. And there's another for Iconic at close range. Continuing to add to the tally, 16 kills for Iconic on his international land debut. Astralis are not out of the woods just yet. While they do hold a 5v3 advantage, Wolves are on defense, and they still have some tricks up their sleeves. They've got the ADSs and magnets to eat away at, but oh my goodness, Forrest picks up a collateral, and it's up to Bibu. But how about another flawless round for Astralis? They did it 2 rounds ago, and damn it, they do it again. Match point, Astralis.
This looks so much more like the NAL Astralis. The confidence, taking the gunfights, playing so good together on that second floor. You had Iconic on basement white stairs. Then you had Shuttle on the buck doing open up the wall. They catch the player white stairs, force him up into the bomb site. The nade kill comes out from Iconic as well. He wins in the second gunfight on white stairs 2, which he should never be allowed.
No world.
No world.
But it's okay, because Astralis is playing in the stars.
Okay. Galaxy gameplay. All right. Forest collateral, also very nice for him. Second flawless round.
I love the cutoff. Right as Forrest goes to make that. It's like perfectly cut screams. Just, and then that's it. That's all you get.
Ending to a great video is what that is.
On defense now, Astralis goes. Wolves have somewhat fallen asleep since round 7. They've only mustered 2 rounds, and they were both on the exact same bomb site. It was when they were defending Cocktail. So if you go back to attack, Wolves on attack won 4 rounds, and they did it on every single bomb site. They won on Kitchen in round 2, they won on Cocktail in round 3, they won Mining in round 4, and they won Reading in round 5. So they've got that versatility. They can apply their tricks and their traits wherever they go. For this bomb site, it's a reading defense. This bomb site so far has been played a grand total of 3 times. 3 times. That's it. Wolves did not like defending this bomb site. They defended it in round number 9. They lost it and immediately called a timeout. Astralis, though, defended it twice. They won it once. They lost it that last time. So it's a coin toss to see how Wolves end up stacking up. And again, the key is going to be how quick can Wolves execute.
It is. And dare I say that Wolves almost look like scared or shocked about halfway through this matchup. You said round 7. Last time they really had stuff going for them, sure. But it's like they were playing so aggressive before with so much confidence, taking fights and really engaging. That was on their attacking side. The defense was a bit of a sleeper. Now Wolves are back on attack. First minute is over. They haven't really achieved a lot of map control, haven't gone many places, and Iconic looking to get aggressive into their face instead. So Wolves, it looks like something has changed. Astralis show up with the server, maybe shocking them a bit, terrifying them if you will. Entries being rather slow. Half hour's almost over. Time is ticking down. Mowgli getting the entry, not getting shut down this time around, but remember, it is a reading bomb site. You gotta get all of top floor just to go downstairs and then approach the bomb site itself. This top floor area has to be cleared out soon, otherwise it's gonna be really difficult to have time.
Swiss cheese walls that lay out in front of Wolves. As if you're Mowgli, you've got a lot of different places to look at. Rise being very patient as well, but when does patience become a bad thing? Ultimately, that's not a clone, by the way. That's the real deal. Mowgli stunning Forest and getting the very first pick for Wolves, setting us up for a potential 15th and fateful round.
They want to go there. Mowgli not slowing down either, clearing out all of train and a bit of dining as well. Beeble upstairs holding down the fort that is Piano. Wants to make sure that no hatch flank occurs. But that means the rest of his teammates has to find an opening, but it's DP5 shuts down instead.
He loses his teammate a shuttle, so the advantage goes back in favor of Wolves, but they don't have a ton of time to work with, and they still need to get to that second floor. Jane, I know the smoke upstairs. Shut down by Rise, he can't get more than that. DP Fire still in this position. Still by Cocktail, mixing it up. At some point, the Jaeger will have to drop. There are 29 kills between the last 2 players of Astralis right now, and the plant is going down. Can Astralis find where the plant is? The answer, no. Shinka manages to pull it off, and it's DP Fire to die. Iconic in a 1v2, and he drops on the head of P4. He sees the opening onto the diffuser, but Shinka outduels him, and we will go the distance. 15 rounds as Wolves make it work in round 14.
Oh boy. You know, the thing is, Parker, Wolves are going to swap sides again. They're going to go in defense. Astralis, they thrive on their attack so far. The Wolves, same story. Neither team is finding consistent comfort on the defensive side. And this is the final round. That's the end. It doesn't go any further. It's the final defensive round for Wolves, final attacking round for Astralis. Someone has to now say, we wanted more.
No timeouts available. Burned much earlier on, so this is just going to be a 1-round shootout. It all comes down to this. Timeout burned in round number 4 by Astralis, round number 9 by Wolves, and there's no way that either of those times you plan for a match to go this deep. No. This is where experience really does start to play a big role in these matchups. Now, this is not a best of 3, and there is no unlimited overtime, so as you said, this is it. This is one and done. But for a team, in terms of confidence and in terms of nerves, you have to give the tip of the hat to Wolves just because they do have that more veteran leadership. As for Astralis, they're playing just like they have through the NAL. They're scrappy. They stick with their games. Even if they make it to overtime, they are never out of every single round. This is something that the top teams in North America can all say. What I will touch on is that win or lose in this round, Wolves have had trouble against top-tier opponents in Europe. Right now, against the #1 team in North America, they are at worst losing 7-8. I'd say that's a pretty big accomplishment for a team that really needs to show up at this international event.
I mean, no matter who, like, if a Wolves lose right now, it's still an accomplishment in itself to go this distance against Astralis in your first day of this tournament. It is, absolutely. If Astralis lose this, it's a little bit less forgivable, I guess, because we expect more from them, so to speak. But they also got the aggression now. Same story. One cadet goes out, nothing happens, right? We're trying to bait out the positions. We see right now the lingering about, looking for openings. Iconic taking so much damage. Beebo under pressure from 2 different players, but they don't know his whereabouts. Beebo gets the opening. Mowgli follows up. 5v3.
And it's the bomb site, Nick, where the Wolves have not lost. They've defended it twice. They are a perfect 2-0, and what a start this is. In the first 40 seconds, you take out the 2 best players on Astralis in this match by a country mile. 30 kills between these 2 players, as we talked about in the previous round. No more. Astralis is a team with a lot of depth. We said it a couple times in the broadcast, how good all of the players were in the NAL. Does that matter here? In a 3v5, you've got lots of time to plot. 1:40 still on the clock. Diffuser in the hands of Forrest, still utility as well. Full ammunition for the skeleton key, full for the hammer, and there goes your last EE1D.
They want Beebo.
What can they do, though? Beebo firing back. Finally a kill from Astralis as they narrow the numbers, but still have not evened it out just yet.
It's a sacrifice from Wolves. It's a sacrifice worth taking, right? You're sacrificing 2 for 1, half the round. Utility, J9O very low on HP. Bomb site is upstairs. And sure, Bot can now do a bit of verticality, but there's nobody skylight, nobody in the window repels just yet. That means you gotta spend so much time rotating your members outside the building if you wanna help the vertical play, or simply say, we don't have that time, don't have that luxury. You gotta walk up the staircases. It's highly favorable for the side of Wolves on the defense. The only way Astralis can win this, they gotta isolate members of Wolves. They've done it. 3v3. 45 seconds left. It's anyone's game still.
And nade doesn't go in the right direction, so J9O will now need to take his gun barrel to the operator sitting inside a bathroom and does it just like that. Rise sustaining a lot of damage, but still upright. His ankles might not be in the best shape, but that's okay. Nade tossed in from J9O, and it goes off onto Rise. He can't get out in time. Suddenly, Astralis has turned a bad situation into eminently winnable, and now it's up to the last player in Shinka, and he can't get it done. Wow, what a performance by Astralis. They make their international debut with a huge 8-7 victory over Wolves.
They make the Wolves bleed. A bit of a vulnerability, a weakness shown on the animal. If you cannot close out that 5 versus 3, you gotta go back, look at that round and say, oh my, what can we learn from this team of Astralis, because they played that phenomenally. 4 players on Astralis breaking double digits. Iconic and J9O with 30 kills to their name, and then 10 kills on, I believe, both shuttle and DP fire. Wow, unbelievable from Astralis to be able to dig deep and stay in it. Going to a bomb site in round 15 that the Wolves are perfect on, 2-0, to sacrifice the first 2 picks and then still staying in it. Not breaking your mental, not breaking your strides, sticking to your game plan and making adaptations where need be. And suddenly, Astralis end up on top, where for that first minute and 30 seconds, it seemed like a certainty that Wolves were going to walk away with the dub. I got this card.
Okay.
I wrote a message on it before the game started.
What's the message say?
Banger.
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 Certified.
Certified banger.
Certified banger.
Damn. That was my prediction, anyway.
And you were correct.
I was correct.
When they say who's going to win, I always say the fans. You
yeah.
At home. You win by watching an enjoyable matchup. Well, we'll dive into what happened between Wolves and Astralis to do some more of the more analytical work. But we got a break ready for you, so we'll be back in just a moment.